Welcome to Topper HQ, our own study hub. I am so incredibly thrilled to have you here today because we are about to jump into an explainer that's going to completely, and I mean absolutely, utterly, shatter the way you view your everyday life. Usually, right, we rely on our intuition to tell us how the world works. We trust our eyes to show us a stable room, we trust our memories to confirm who we are, and we trust that steady, reliable ticking clock to tell us time is just marching forward. But today, we're popping the hood. We're going to look right at the underlying physics of our universe, and I promise you, by the end of this, you might never look at a ticking clock or even a mirror the exact same way again. We are diving into a seriously mind-bending theory known as the cosmic refresh rate, or discrete reality. Now, I know it sounds like pure science fiction, but it's actually deeply rooted in some of the most profound, unanswered questions in modern physics. So get comfortable, clear your mind, and let's get into it.
Okay, consider this horrifying possibility, that the universe is dying every second and being replaced before you notice. Just let that sink in for a sec. We walk around every single day absolutely assuming that reality is this permanent, stable, enduring thing. We naturally think that the room we're sitting in right now is the exact same continuous room that was here 1 second ago. The walls, the chair you're in, the air you're breathing, we just assume it all persists seamlessly. But what if it doesn't? What if the universe is essentially flickering in and out of existence, dying and being reborn millions upon millions of times faster than you can even blink? This isn't just some spooky late-night dorm room thought experiment. No, it's a legitimate hypothesis drawn directly from the extreme limits of quantum mechanics.
See, we naturally perceive time as a smooth, continuous flow, kind of like a river. When you raise your hand, your arm moves in one fluid, unbroken motion through space and time, right? You don't just jump from point A to point B, you glide through all the space in between. But what if at the absolute fundamental level, time is actually discrete? Like pixelated, frame for frame. Imagine your life is in a continuous river, but a flipbook. When you flip the pages of a flipbook fast enough, your brain fills in the gaps, creating this perfect illusion of smooth, flowing motion. But if you slow it way, way down, you realize it's actually just a series of static, disconnected, individual pictures. And crucially, there's blank space between those pages, a literal moment of nothingness. The theory of a discrete reality suggests that the universe itself operates exactly like that flipbook.
Now, you might be wondering, where on earth does an idea like this even come from? Well, it starts with a concept called Planck time. You see, physics gets incredibly weird at extremely tiny scales. We're talking about scales so microscopically small that the very concepts of space and time as we know them just completely break down. Planck time is the absolutely smallest measurable unit of time in physics, and it is unimaginably brief. We are talking about a decimal point followed by 43 zeros and then a 1 of a second. To put that totally mind-boggling number into perspective, there are more Planck times in a single second than there have been regular seconds since the very birth of the universe. The crucial takeaway here is that you cannot physically divide a second into anything smaller than a Planck unit. And because time can't be infinitely divided, it strongly suggests that space-time isn't some smooth, infinite canvas. It's discrete. It has a fundamental limit. It is literally built out of tiny, indivisible, pixel-like blocks. So this brings us to the idea of a cosmic FPS, or frames per second. If time really is broken down into these tiny, indivisible blocks, then reality doesn't flow, it updates. Just like a video game or your computer monitor has a maximum refresh rate, maybe 60 or 120 frames per second, the universe itself might have a maximum refresh rate dictated by that incredibly tiny Planck time. Reality is literally rendering itself frame by frame, over and over and over again at the computational speed of the cosmos. Just think about what that means for movement. You don't actually slide smoothly through space over time. You simply exist in one static frame, and then the universe refreshes and boom, you exist in the very next frame, just slightly shifted in position. The whole illusion of movement is just the incredibly rapid rendering of these static frames. All right, so if reality updates frame by frame, let's break down the mechanical, step-by-step reality of what is actually happening to you right this very second. Step 1, you exist in the current frame. You're sitting there, listening to this explainer, having a conscious thought. Step 2, that frame ends, and that version of you is utterly destroyed. Step 3, a new consciousness replaces it instantly in the very next frame. I really want you to stop and think about this for a second. If this theory holds up, the you from 1 second ago literally no longer exists. The person who started watching this explainer, gone. The person who listened to the beginning of this very sentence, completely gone. You are constantly being annihilated, completely wiped out, and then rebuilt entirely from scratch every fraction of a millisecond. Now I know exactly what you're thinking. You're sitting there going, "That's impossible, man. I feel completely continuous. I remember what happened a second ago." Well, you feel continuous because the system is designed to make you feel that way. Memory itself is part of the refresh. Let's go back to our video game analogy for a second. When a character moves from one frame to the next, the computer's RAM basically copies the character's save state data, their health, their inventory, their position, the whole shebang, and instantly pastes it into the new frame. The universe might be doing the exact same thing to your brain. The new consciousness that gets generated in the next frame comes preloaded with the exact copied memories of the version that was just destroyed a Planck second ago. You feel like an unbroken continuous being because the data of your past is seamlessly copy-pasted into your present frame. The illusion is flawless. And hey, if we are living in a system that's constantly refreshing, then some of the most mysterious human experiences and cosmic anomalies suddenly make perfect sense, as system glitches. Take déjà vu, for example. We've all felt it, right? That weird, unsettling feeling that you've been somewhere before or lived this exact moment. Under this theory, déjà vu is just a rendering error, a slight stutter in the cosmic refresh rate, where a frame accidentally repeats or buffers. What about dreams? That's just the brain undergoing background processing while your primary sensory inputs are taken offline for nightly maintenance or meditation. When you deeply quiet your mind and drastically slow your breathing, you might actually be manually experiencing a reduced sensory refresh rate, actively calming the system's processing load down. Near-death experiences, with the bright lights and intense time dilation, that could simply be system instability during an attempted consciousness transfer or a system shutdown. And on a massive macro scale, think about black holes. In physics, black holes are these places where our current understanding of space-time completely breaks down. While in a discrete computational reality, a black hole is simply a corrupted data region where the physics engine fails to render properly. It is quite literally a massive dead pixel in the universe.
Okay, this brings us to a massive, totally paradigm-shifting twist. What if the speed of light isn't actually a speed limit? We're all taught in school that the speed of light is the ultimate, unbreakable speed limit of the physical universe. Nothing can travel faster than roughly 300,000 kilometers per second. It's just a fundamental law. But if reality is discrete, what if it isn't just a physical speed limit? What if the speed of light is actually the maximum processing speed of reality itself? This is the ultimate revelation of the discrete reality theory. If the universe is rendering itself frame by frame, it requires massive amounts of processing power. The speed of light is simply the hardware limit of the cosmic computer. You can't travel faster than light because the universe literally cannot calculate and render your changing position in space any faster than that. Think about what happens when your computer's CPU gets overwhelmed trying to render too much stuff at once. It lags, right? Everything slows down. Well, in physics, we know that the faster you move toward the speed of light, the more time slows down for you, a proven phenomenon known as time dilation. What if time dilation is just cosmic lag? It's the universe struggling to render your high-speed movement, so it actively drops your frame rate just to keep up. And what this implies is truly staggering. It means the universe isn't just like a computer, it means the universe may literally be computational. We are existing right now inside an unimaginably vast operating system. So this leaves us with a really profound paradox. Maybe immortality already exists, because technically, you've never survived a single second. If your consciousness is being destroyed and recreated every single Planck unit of time, then the entire concept of life and death becomes incredibly blurred. You are constantly dying, billions upon billions of times a second, but you're also constantly being reborn, continuously carrying the torch of your copied memories forward into the very next frame. You have literally never actually survived a single second of your life in one continuous form. Yet, here you are. The system just keeps booting you up. It is a profoundly beautiful and honestly deeply unsettling way to understand our existence.
Which leaves us with the ultimate and maybe terrifying question. If our entire existence is just a continuous series of system reboots, what happens when the cosmic hardware finally breaks down? Or worse, what happens if we figure out how to unplug it? Reality refresh complete.